Hi guys, this is Milana. Lovely to connect with you again. This week I would like to focus on something that plays a really large role in our lives. But it's something that there are a lot of misconceptions about. We're only looking at one side of things, but it is something that has been and still continues to have a tremendous impact on our day-to-day experiences, on our state of being, on how we feel, and how we construct our reality. We've only been looking at it from one side only. It is really beneficial to look at it a little bit more deeply so that we can become more in conscious control of it. And the thing that I'm talking about is our ego. And before you shut this off and you say, is this some sort of ultra spiritual BS on our road to enlightenment? No, it's not about that. It's very practical in terms of how does it affect our experience day to day, all of our relationships, how we feel within ourselves, what actions we take or we don't take. It is very pervasive, and it affects all areas of our lives, and that's for every single one of us. But the picture that has been painted of the ego in general and how it expresses is extremely limited. We remain oblivious to all those other ways in which it affects our lives, usually very negatively. It's bringing awareness, bringing to the light all of those aspects of the ego and how in practical terms it influences our lives so that we choose consciously what to do with them. The aspect of the ego that is most known to us is when in one way or another we want to show to ourselves or others that we're better than somebody else or better than others in one aspect or another. I'm richer, I'm more successful, I'm more beautiful, I'm skinnier, I'm more fit, I did a better job on this project, I'm stronger than you in this, I just won this game and you didn't, I won in this aspect, I dominated the market, I dominated the competition at work, whatever it is. This is the aspect. And yes, it is super negative, but it's very strongly encouraged and has been encouraged for many years in the current reality. Because we're being told that that's the way to move forward, to grow, to prosper, to succeed. If anything, that is a very negative vantage point that does create separation. It creates a lot of feelings of loneliness, of competition, of adversity, of hostility among us. And it removes the opportunity of us to collaborate, to work together, to thrive and prosper, and to get to the awareness that we're all part of the same thing and that we're always much stronger if we collaborate and work together. The idea that puts this in place is that that is not possible, that the world is a hostile place. They are competing with you, so you better get in that race because otherwise you'll be crushed by everybody else. We have bought into that idea for a very long time, but what is happening now is we're moving away from it. Now, that wasn't going to be the focus of this video though. I want to talk about the other aspect of the ego that we're not really talking about and that unfortunately many of us are seeing as something positive and good. And that's the other aspect of ego, when we feel not good enough, when we feel like, oh, I'm not good looking enough, or I don't deserve, I'm worthless, I can't do this, I'm not as good as this person, I'm not as competitive. These are also expressions of our ego, and we're not used to thinking it that way. The ego is a very smartly created, sophisticated program that is going to attack us from all possible angles. It's like a 360 sphere, a multidimensional one almost, that is going to look for any and all open doors to get control. Gain control and use that control to control our experiences. This is not about saying, oh, that ego is something that we need to fight and something that is evil and all these things. It's simply becoming aware of it and recognizing that we're in charge and deciding if or how much power we want to give to any of the aspects of the ego. And because so many of the aspects of our ego we have been unaware of, it's been very much in unconscious control of our reality, much more than we would have liked it to be. And now we're starting to bring awareness to all of those different sneaky expressions of the ego so that we can consciously choose what to do with it. And I know that many of us are just going to do away with a lot of the practices and ways in which our ego has controlled our experience. The ego is a trigger. It's an automatically released program. As soon as something comes in that can trigger the ego, and there's plenty of buttons in all of us, it reacts before we have time to pause and think, wait a minute, is that how I really feel? Is that how I want to respond? Is this the result that I want to achieve? Because very often we take actions that absolutely do not lead us to the result that we want. But oops, it was already the ego. We were triggered in one way or another. Something was activated. We reacted in one way or another, and we got the result that we didn't like and we didn't want. So by becoming aware of the ways in which the ego functions, we're giving ourselves that room, that space, instead of acting from that trigger point, that reaction, to come to a decision, a conscious one. How do we actually want to go about it? And that's one of the key steps that we take toward removing the control of the ego, becoming aware of the different aspects, the different ways in which it expresses in our reality. And second, moving from reaction to response. There's a healthy amount of ego that we need to have in order to function as a singular being. But it has nothing to do with all of the expressions that the ego has had so far. It looks very, very, very differently when we talk about the healthy ego. So let's look at some specific examples. What is one way in which those not so well-known aspects of the ego expresses? For example, somebody tells me that I'm beautiful, and my first egoic, believe it or not, egoic reaction is to shoot down that compliment, to say, oh no, or it's not really true, or even feel uncomfortable in myself when somebody says that. How many times have you rejected a compliment? When somebody has said, oh my God, you're amazing at this, and you're like, oh, no big deal, it's nothing, and we kind of almost get a sense of feeling uncomfortable about it. Especially in women, that program is very pervasive. If I tell you that you're beautiful, you can say, thank you, it's true. And that doesn't mean that you're arrogant or you think you're comparing yourself to somebody else or saying somebody else isn't. It's not more, but it's also not less than. I mean, the orchid is beautiful and the flower next to it is also beautiful, and they're not in competition with each other. Somebody tells me that I'm good at editing videos, for example. And I say, oh no, I'm not really that good. There are many people that are better. Now that's true, but I am good because, I'm doing it. I do it every week, a couple of times a week, and it's a good product. And in many cultures, we're encouraged to be really humble and to not stand in our power, to not really say, yeah, it's true, I do have that skill. Or you're very good with makeup. Yes, it's true. But we have that fear, that sense, the ego telling us, well, that would be arrogant, and you're going to sound like a pompous rear end if you say that. That's ego. Here's another simple example. Let's say I produce a video, and there will be people who say, Milena, this video was great. I felt really inspired. It helped me with something. Now my ego can go in and feel really good about it. Oh, I'm really influencing people in a positive way, and my ego is doing like a happy booty dance inside. And then the other one would be, oh my God, what kind of stupid BS is that? I can't believe you're producing such crap. Blah, 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 blah. And then my ego can get really down. Oh my God, what did I do wrong? People don't like what I'm putting out. Both of those are reactions of my ego. And one is not better than the other or worse than the other. Connecting to our center and to our core and being sovereign beings is what we're moving toward. And that would mean I know why I'm producing these videos, because it's important for all of us to be speaking our truth, to be public about it so that we can connect with like-minded individuals. It's a silent permission for others to do the same and step into their own talents and power. And yes, there will be ones who feel inspired and like it, and there will be ones who don't. But that's not really relevant. And it doesn't really affect you in any way unless the ego steps in and tells you that you should be affected, and it will determine how I feel. And now I can focus on the one negative comment and feel terrible about it for a day or months even, or even stop what I'm doing because somebody said something nasty about what I'm doing. But understanding that it's not about that and it's just an expression of an artificially implanted program within us really helps us move out of that. Because there will be both extremes in all of our experiences. But allowing those to determine how you feel or drive our actions means we allow the ego to run the show. There's a huge push, a huge desire right now in the collective consciousness to move away from that. It is the time to understand and really stand in our own power, magnificence, light, brilliance, radiant shine. Yes, we have unique skills, we have unique looks, we have unique abilities, and very unique ways in which we express that. And acknowledging, expressing, accepting, and sharing who and what we are is a powerful thing, because it silently, or not so silently, gives permission to others to do the same. And what actually prompted me to record this video was a question by my 10-year-old who said, Mommy, can you explain to me the difference between a reaction and a response, and what that means, and what are different ways in which my ego expresses? And it's like, yeah, it's unusual a little bit for a 10-year-old to be even asking these questions. But what really surprised me was how insightful she was in pinpointing all those different expressions of the ego that I didn't even think of. And I congratulated her on having that awareness. And she's like, oh yeah, my ego is trying to express again, doing a happy day dance, saying that, I was very good in creative, or I'm smart for figuring this out and seeing it. But just having the awareness that that's an expression of the ego means that it has already lost its power, because now that you're aware of it, it no longer has that power. You do. And if you're not quite sure how to recognize your patterns or the expressions of your ego, book a session at askmilena.com. Subscribe to my newsletter to stay abreast of events, news, and to receive all videos. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so below. You can click on the bell so that you can get notified of all future videos, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye, guys.